Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and as always, I'm joined by Greg. How are you today, Greg?
Very well. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Yeah, just in a COVID bubble at the moment. My wife has just found out that someone she was in contact with last week has tested positive for COVID. So that's all fun and games. We both feel completely fine, but she's going to go and get a test just to be on the safe side.
Yeah, I remember you said to me before that you thought that you both had it like early last year when it was all just starting to kick off, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was last February, around about then. But I think, does it not only last for about 6 or 9 months or something if you've had it? Is it not possible to get it again? I think it wears off or something.
I don't know. I mean, I think they're a bit kind of split on it, I think, right? Because at the moment, they don't know if the vaccine is going to have to be like the flu vaccine. And then, you know, where you would get it every year if you were somebody who was particularly at risk of becoming, like, dying of the flu, if you're old or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I'm like you. I think that my wife and I both had it early last year before it really kind of went massive.
We were trendsetters.
Exactly. We're always ahead.
People followed the trend.
Yeah. I mean, I was the only person in my class who already had a Blur album before Parklife came out.
I'm sure we'll be fine. I feel totally fine, so all good. Although it's that kind of thing, you find out the news about that, and then you think, you wake up the next morning and you're like, my throat a bit sore.
I know.
And then it passes after 20 minutes and you're like, no, I was probably just thirsty and breathing in dry air during the night or something. So I'll be fine. Anyway. Oh, well, fantastic. Everything good with you?
Yes, everything's fine. School holidays here starting tomorrow. So like the Easter holidays, or end of term 2 holidays, as they call them here, because no one wants to acknowledge Jesus. So I don't have to get up in the morning. Well, I have to get up in the morning to go to work, but I don't have to get up and like wrangle 2 pre-teens into their school uniforms and into the back of my wife's car and all that kind of thing. I can just sort myself out, which is always quite nice.
Fantastic. Okay, well, shall we have a look at what's been happening in Scotland this week then?
Absolutely. Cue the jingle.
This is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, so have you seen anything from back home that has tickled your fancy this week?
I have. I've got a few things, including some exciting Irn Bru news, but before I get onto that, I like this one because it concerns... I was going to say I like this one because it concerns a 12-year-old girl. Maybe I'll rephrase that. I like this one because I have a daughter who is the same age as the girl in the story. The headline reads, Brave Scots schoolgirl unleashes taekwondo skills on would-be attacker. So this is, they haven't named the wee girl obviously because she's only 12, but she was walking home through Stewartfield in East Kilbride when this guy, I mean, I've got to laugh at the paper, the youngster, who we've chosen not to name, pretty sure that legally you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
We've chosen not to. You've chosen fuck all. The youngster is said to have kicked the man on the shin and elbowed him on the side of the head after he grabbed her by the arm. So she's only 12 years old. She's been going to taekwondo for a couple of years since she was quite little. Yeah, I've got a 12-year-old daughter. I'm not sure she would fare so well in this sort of situation. I'd like to think so. She's quite tall. But yeah, the wee girl, she managed to kick the guy in the shin and elbowed him on the side of the head after he grabbed her by the arm. She was walking home on Friday evening last week. Yeah, apparently this guy's been... This sort of guy, they think's the same guy. There's been a few... sightings of him sort of hanging around in areas where there's kids and things, so the police are looking for him. But yeah, I've got a lot of time for that. I've got a lot of time for would-be nonces getting like a shoeing of 12-year-old girls.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's what you want to hear. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not brilliant that she was nearly attacked, but it's brilliant that she was able to
fight him off,
fend him off like that.
I remember when I was a wee boy and I lived in Kilsyth, there was a couple of girls who lived a few doors from us called Heather and Nicola. And Nicola went to karate. And apparently, like I've heard this anecdotally, because after we moved away, my dad stayed in touch with her dad. And the same thing happened to her when she was walking home from Kilsyth Primary. But apparently she she hit this guy so hard that the police had no problem in finding him later, because apparently his eye was purple. She would have been older than 12 at the time. I think she was about 15 or maybe 16. But yeah, apparently she gave the guy a right fucking doing.
Good. Yeah. Glad to hear it. Yeah, that's what you need.
Yeah.
Vigilante kids fighting off would-be attackers.
Absolutely. But the police do say that, it is worth a reminder to the kids about being aware and what to do if this happens. Obviously, this young girl was only 12. She is certainly very grateful of the skills that she's learned in taekwondo, which undoubtedly helped her. But the police are asking kids in the area just to be aware. If you live in East Kilbride and you have 12-year-old daughters, then just get them to keep an eye out. So yeah, that's my first story. What have you found in the news this week?
I've got a couple of stories, but first of all, I just want to give a quick shout out to Scots Tory chief Douglas Ross, who was doing a Facebook Live this week, and obviously answering questions to people on the live link. And unfortunately, he was duped by someone who had asked a question, and he did read out the name, and he addressed the person and didn't even notice the name. So he answered the question for a Mr. Mike Oxsmells, and so he did say, "So Mike Oxsmells, stop ignoring the tough questions. I'm really not." It's a good bit of harmless banter. Yeah. I don't think I've ever noticed Mike Oxsmells before. Like, I know, obviously, Mike Hunt and stuff, but I just thought Mike Oxsmells was brilliant.
You did just say there, though, I don't think I've ever noticed Mike Oxsmells before.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, sometimes. Oh, okay. So my first main story this week concerns a woman from Glasgow, a raging Scots woman who took revenge on a scammer who used her cash to enjoy a takeaway nearly 300 miles away. Emma Crombie from Glasgow was stunned to wake up on Thursday morning and find that her Uber Eats account had been hacked, and somebody in Birmingham had ordered a 40 quid KFC feast, and it had the address in the app, so she knows where this person lives. She got in touch with Uber Eats to say that the account had been hacked. They refunded her the money straight away, apologised, and said, really sorry, these things can happen, but really sorry. Mm-hmm. So Emma wasn't satisfied at this and wanted to get some revenge because she had this person's address. So she sent a parcel, special delivery, containing a big box of dog shit. and inside the box, she put a note that said, "I hope you enjoyed the Uber Eats I treated you to." So she took to social media to share her plot and said, "Okay, so after this scumbag stole my card details from Uber Eats and treated themselves to a feast, this is their karma. Dog shit in a box. Yes, it's disgusting. And yes, it cost me £14 special next day delivery. Imagine getting woke up at 9:01 a.m. on a Saturday morning to sign for a jobby." She told the Record that she hoped that others would make sure they had not been scammed, and she said it was Uber Eats app got hacked. I mean, they gave her the money back, and then she's had to pay 14 quid special delivery to get this delivered. There's been no follow-up as to what happened, but she did say, I know karma works in mysterious ways, but it was worth a giggle. So I hope the scammer enjoyed their KFC, and then, getting woke up, a special delivery. "Oh, what's this? Have you ordered something?" "No, I haven't ordered anything." And you open it up and it's full of dog shit. To be fair, there must be something against that in terms of sending dog shit in the post. Surely that's against the law in some way. Because, as we know from the Trainspotting episode, toxoplasmosis from cat shit, dog shit, can send kids blind, can't it?
Probably.
So, technically, I don't think she should have done that, but never mind. It's a nice little giggle and it's a nice bit of revenge.
You got to think, right, that a box of dog shit in transit is going to smell unless she's taken, precautions to make it, super airtight, the packaging. But in which case then, right, she's either gone out and collected a load of dog shit and taken it home to put in the package, or she's collected the dog shit on the way to the post office and then, found a little quiet corner to kind of see their box up and stuff before she sent it off. But
there is a photo of it, and it's a shoebox.
Right.
It's a Fila shoebox, but inside she's put a Capri Sun box So, you know, if you buy like a multi-pack of like 6 or 10 Capri Suns, so that's been opened and then filled with dog shit and then closed. So someone's maybe thought, oh, someone sent me Capri Sun. They've got in, put their hand in to get a pouch of their favourite fruity drink and come out with a hand covered in shite. I don't know. It doesn't say. I don't even know if she's got a dog. Because I have no problem picking up my dog's poo, but I wouldn't pick up another dog's poo.
I know.
I just, that is something disgusting about that. But hey, fair play. She's gone above and beyond and collected shite.
I've just got an image of her out in the park with like a torch and a wee shovel. In a box.
Muttering away to herself.
Yeah. When I was a kid, there was dog shit everywhere. These days, you can't find any.
Well, never mind. So that would have been a nice special delivery from the Colonel for the recipient of that. Anyway, what else have you seen this week?
Sorry, just imagine what's in the packet. It looks like a box of Capri Sun. Did you enter a competition or something like that? Don't think so. Well, my next story has got a similar scatological theme. There's actually a wee...
Oh, fantastic.
There's actually, in the article, there's a wee reference to your lady's story. So there is, I think, the Sun just trying to sort of stretch out the story a wee bit. But the headline reads, "Poo done it. Scots drivers warned to watch out for skid marks after massive accident as poo-stained pants stuck to road sign." So this is, the blue parking sign with the white P for a lay-by, stuck to a sign at the side of the road near Berwick. There's a photograph which I'll put on the Instagram page for people who are interested in seeing it. And it's like a pair of Y-fronts, like a big pair of white. They're sort of reminiscent of the ones that, remember the ones that Rick Mail would wear on bottom? Because Rick Mail was always taking his trousers off, right? So that's that sort of style of Y-front. The huge brown mark was smeared across the white knickers, which had then been chucked at a sign for a parking area. A picture of the full site was posted to the Fife Jammer Locations Facebook page. They joked, "There's been a massive accident on the A92 between Cowden and Dunfermline. Watch for skid marks." But then they later clarified, this isn't on the A92. For those that might be a way to look. It's down by Berwick. Punters couldn't believe what they were seeing, and the post had a massive reaction. Samantha Webster said, "OMFG, I'm creased. I can't stop laughing. Nearly pissed my own knickers." Leslie Penman joked, "That's a bit of a shit sign." Bit obvious that, Leslie. Maxine Stewart tagged a pal and said, "I would have washed them for you, babe. You didn't have to fly shit tip." Well, at least it took a wee bit of time. And then David Milne finished off with, "Someone needs to work on their follow through." But I don't know if that's true, because they're perfectly in the middle of this sign. You know, they haven't just been sort of thrown offhand. You know, it's been sort of erected on the sign. You'll see what I mean when you see the picture.
So these pants have been placed. They haven't just been flung out of a passing transit van.
Yeah.
They look like they've been placed carefully on the sign.
Yeah, exactly. Optimum position. The Sun then go down a bit of a sort of poo rabbit hole. They mention your lady Emma, who sent the box of shit to the Uber Eats scammer. And then they mention, apparently, I didn't click on the link, but apparently they shared a hilarious TikTok video last week that some woman took of her cheeky toddler son asking her if he wanted to smell the shit that he'd just done in his potty. Which apparently got 1.5 million views because people fell in love with his accent. But yeah, I'll post that picture of the Berwick soiled Y-fronts on the Instagram page later on today. So yeah, any more poo stories?
No, I don't have any more poo stories, unfortunately. I've got a story. Obviously, it's sad news that there's quite a lot of shops closing down. There was the news this week that John Lewis in Aberdeen is going to be closing. And, of course, Debenhams has closed down. But thankfully, some members of staff from Debenhams have found a new role. So, old mannequins from Aberdeen's former Debenhams department store have been given a new lease of life as police officers on D-side roads. The 7 dummies from Debenhams Trinity Centre store have been saved and dressed up in police uniforms with high-vis jackets and placed around a Boyne Upper D-side and Donside to encourage motorists to slow down when driving through the communities.
Right.
And there's a number of photos, and to be fair, they do look pretty realistic, from a distance.
Yeah.
It's just these dummies wearing high-vis jackets. Obviously, they're wearing police trousers as well. They're not naked from the waist down, because you probably would then wonder. So yeah, they've been distributed around the communities. So one of the fake bobbies has been nicknamed Bob by local school children. And it's hoped that it'll make the crossing the road safer for the youngsters. And apparently all the kids love it, and they're going and hanging out with Bobs. And yeah, so at least those kids are going to be safe. But I just thought it was a nice little story in terms of that these mannequins are being used for something.
Yeah.
And as I say, it's quite sneaky from them to have them there, because of course, if you are driving down the road and you see a high-vis jacket up front, you would slow down, thinking it's a bobby with a radar. But no, it's just a mannequin. But not like the one from the 1980s film. It's not Kim Cattrall.
It's not Kim Cattrall.
It's Bob.
I always used to have like a real problem with like shop dummies when I was little. Like I used to have a problem with like shop dummies, lifelike dolls, or these like Victorian dolls with the sort of marble eyes and stuff, and like waxworks. I remember going to the old Waxworks Museum in Edinburgh when I was a kid. It's not that it's there anymore, and just fucking not liking it, just because I don't know what it is. But I would go to like Dorothy Perkins with my mum and have to stand outside because mannequins used to give me the creeps.
What, were you afraid they would come to life?
I think so. I remember when I was really, really wee, my mum and my dad were watching a film, and I don't know what it was called, and it's quite a vivid memory, so I've sort of tried to see if I could find this film, but it was like a sort of slasher film, and the baddie was wearing like a mask, like a doll's face, and I think had a kind of yellow like Parker, no, not like sort of plastic raincoat on, and I only saw a bit of it, and I don't know. I think that's the kind of roots of. I only saw like I say a bit of it. I'm talking like a minute of it, but it was like a minute when the baddie was trying to like stab somebody in the ankles through the stair railings. So
I've just googled it. It is Alice, Sweet Alice.
Right.
1976 film, and yeah, I agree. That is quite
right.
It's quite scary.
What's it called?
The
Alice, Sweet Alice?
image. Alice, Sweet Alice, a 1976 American slasher film.
Right.
Starred Brooke Shields in her film debut. Actually, sounds quite good.
I'll have to see.
Might have to give that a watch.
See what's on YouTube. Obviously, I'm not frightened of mannequins anymore, but but dolls, like these old vintage dolls, do just give me a bit, just make me a bit. I don't know, just a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, they are a bit creepy, some of those dolls. They can be a bit, kind of give you the heebie-jeebies.
So, well, I'm glad. I mean, it's too bad that they can't find jobs for all the people that are going to be made redundant out of Debenhams, but at least they found something for the mannequins to do.
Exactly. Every cloud and all that.
Every cloud.
So at least they've got something to do.
Yeah.
Never mind. So, what else have you got? You mentioned something about Irn Bru news, did you?
I'll give you just two very quick bits of Irn Bru news before I do my last story. So, last week we were obviously talking about comic book writer, soon-to-be mogul, Mark Miller from Scotland, finding a 9-year-old can of Irn Bru in his shed. I mean, I don't know who keeps cans of Irn Bru in their shed, but apparently Mark does. And we spoke for a minute about the difference between the new flavours since the sugar tax came in, and some of the, like Mark, as I recall from your story, Mark was particularly upset when they changed the flavour, but it sounds like it might have saved his life, judging by the amount that he was drinking before. In December 2019, Irn Bru released a limited run of their 1901 recipe in glass bottles, and it must have been a success because they've announced that it's on the shop shelves permanently from this week. So from this week, you'll be able to buy a glass bottle of 1901 recipe Irn Bru. So I think I said last week I'd asked my sister to get me a bottle for going home for Christmas, and to be honest, like I didn't notice it. I mean, it's maybe not quite as sweet as like the modern Irn Bru in my opinion, but yeah, hopefully it'll keep some of these Irn Bru purists happy. And then the other little bit of Irn Bru news is the Aldi. So are you familiar with the Sweeties Millions? Have you seen these Millions? They're like
no, I don't think so.
They're like little tiny balls, like sweet balls.
Okay. Yeah.
So Aldi had a Irn Bru range flavour of Millions, which were so popular that they sold out in under a month right across the brand. So they have brought them back. Irn Bru, they're not the Irn Bru Millions, but they're the jelly babies that they make. That Millions also make jelly babies. So if you in your local Aldi, and if you're in Scotland, I assume, I don't know if you've got Aldi in Amsterdam, Nicky, but anyway.
No, we don't. We've got Lidl, but we don't have Aldi.
Well, they're made in Greenock by a company called Golden Casket. So they're not like officially licensed Irn Bru there because they spell iron and brew correctly, not in the trademarked spellings of the main company. So yeah, I think I quite enjoy Irn Bru flavoured jelly babies. I just need to be careful not to build them up too much in my mind, in case I'm disappointed.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. So do you think bars have just caved? Because obviously they changed the recipe for Irn Bru and a lot of people complained. So they released this limited edition. Obviously it was a test to see if there was a demand for it. There was obviously a huge demand.
Yep.
So they don't look like they're backing down by saying, okay, we've changed the recipe back. They have to stick to their guns. But now they're saying, okay, you've got the option to buy the original recipe one now. It's up to you.
Well, Coca-Cola did that, didn't they, in the 1980s when they brought out New Coke. And they spent millions and millions and millions of dollars in marketing and launching it. Everybody hated it. Typical Americans that are brand slaves, fucking holding demonstrations because Coke had changed the flavour a wee bit. And then so they brought out original Coke about a month later or something, which was just Coke that we all know and love. I think they slowly phased New Coke out over time. Apparently New Coke tasted more like Pepsi, but apparently Pepsi were starting to outsell Coke in some territories for the first time, and that's what pushed them to bring out this new recipe. So, but going back to the Irn Bru, I don't know if I would imagine if they'd been smart, the price of the 1901 recipe Irn Bru will be a wee bit more expensive for a glass bottle of that compared to a glass bottle of 2021 Irn Bru, maybe 10-15p more expensive, and maybe they're thinking, well, it's only 10 or 15p, people are likely to buy more. All adds up. Right, so my last story, obviously, as at the time of recording, we're still sort of balls deep in COVID. This headline, and another one from the Scottish Sun. So it says, Cop hunt plague doctor spotted in Dumfries as cops try to trace them after Falkirk locals creeped out by a similar figure. So some guy is cutting about, some people may be familiar with the sort of medieval plague doctor outfit where the sort of head is a bit like a crow with a beak. The guy, whoever it is, has got a long sort of Neo of the Matrix coat on, hat, and this sort of crow's mask. There's a photograph of him here, just out for a walk by the looks of things. Not really doing anything. I'm not really sure why the police are looking for him. I don't know if he's been breaking the law or anything. It comes after officers in Falkirk track someone. The guy in Falkirk was lingering outside the school in similar clothing, so maybe they do need to speak to him. But yeah, the police are looking to identify this person who has been seen in numerous areas of Dumfries wearing a crow mask and a black cloak. The person has been seen in the area of White Sands and Sandside on the 20th of March and then Lochside on the 21st of March. Yeah, the police are appealing for anybody with any information to call them. Plague doctors battled the bubonic plague in 1645 wearing unusual all-black medical gear. The medics wore long leather coats, large brimmed hats and grotesque beak masks filled with sweet-smelling herbs. He's been spotted in Bo'ness, if it's the same guy as well, in Falkirk. Locals in Falkirk and Stirling and the surrounding areas claim to have sighted the freaky figure in the blacked-out get-up. Falkirk Council bosses confirmed to the Scottish Sun that they were aware of a sighting. Debbie Moore, who's 40, spotted the person walking in the Bo'ness Academy playing field. She said, I was working from home and something caught my eye. I peeked out the window for a closer look and noticed it was someone in the school playing field dressed as a bird. I thought I'd better take a picture because I didn't think anybody would believe me. Apparently they stood at the entrance to the school, not sure for what reason. The officer identified a male youth as the person wearing the outfit and they gave him advice I imagine the advice is don't hang about outside of school in a fancy dress costume, you creepy bastard. But they didn't charge him with anything, and he wasn't reported doing anything illegal as such. So I suspect somebody's just having a laugh, too much time in their hands, you know.
Yeah, when I saw this, I thought it was pretty funny, to be honest.
Yeah.
I guess it's like do you remember a few years ago there was the spate of people dressing up as clowns and just standing creepily on the side of roads just to freak people out?
Was it?
And I think this is exactly what the guy's doing. He's just having a bit of a laugh, but I didn't realise he was hanging about outside a school. That's taking it a bit too far. But yeah, I thought the plague doctor thing was quite funny, but hey, never mind. But as you say, what are you going to charge him with? Being a creepy nonce?
No, just being like a dodgy bastard. Yeah.
Ah, well, never mind.
So, any more news for us?
No, that's me for the news this week.
So this week, you chose the TV show this week that we're going to take a look at. Why don't you introduce it?
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, my choice this week. I picked something that I have very fond memories of. And when we conceived the Swally and decided to do this was one of the first things I wanted to do. And it's taking me up till now to actually pick it, but I'm delighted to be able to speak about it. So we are going to be talking about the 1995 sitcom The High Life. After a meeting at drama school, Alan Cumming and Forbes Masson created Victor and Barry, two slightly camp founding members of the Kelvinside Young People's Amateur Dramatic Art Society. The musical double act toured Scotland in the 80s, and then they actually killed Victor and Barry off. But in 1994, the pair conceived a pilot called The High Life for BBC Two Comic Aside series, and then a series of The High Life was commissioned. So, The High Life sees Cumming and Masson play Sebastian Flight and Steve McCracken, two airline stewards who work for Air Scotia on the Prestwick to Heathrow run. It also stars Siobhan Redmond as Hitler in Tights Shona Spartle and Patrick Reihart as the eccentric Captain Hilary Duff. The High Life was a mixture of surreal, childish humour, visual slapstick and music hall comedy. And it ran for one series on BBC Two in 1995, and despite positive reviews and a second series being commissioned and written, it was never actually made because Alan Cumming became a massive movie star. So before I go into my memories of this, of what I have many, you mentioned that you hadn't really seen it or you'd seen bits of it before. So I'd be interested to hear what your memories of it are.
I remember it being on, because like the BBC Two on a Friday night in the kind of mid-90s used to have an hour or two of comedy. So the stuff like The Fass Show and Alan Partridge and things like that, and or Rees and Mortimer. And I remember it being on either before or after something that I wanted to watch. So
I'll tell you exactly what it was later on.
I didn't really, I don't know. It didn't really appeal to me, I think, because I guess I'm not sure why I wouldn't. I must have watched at least some of an episode when it was first on. Watching it back, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it, but I can sort of see why it maybe didn't appeal to me when I was that age, because, you know, I probably was a bit of a kind of comedy snob in those days. You know, I liked things like Blackadder and The Fast Show and kind of clever catchphrasey type stuff that we could all talk about at school. I'm not sure. I mean, I enjoyed it this time, but yeah, I think I gave it a bit of a swerve, I think, like intentionally, when it was first on.
Okay. Well, because it aired in January 95, and I remember vividly what came before it and after it. And I went back and checked in the archives of the Radio Times, and I was correct. So I'm glad I was correct. So it aired at 9:30 on BBC Two. At 9 o'clock on BBC Two was Bottom.
Right.
And it was Series 3 of Bottom. So it was, you know, Bottom was pretty popular at that time. And after it, at 10 o'clock, was a rerun of The Day to Day. So that's maybe why you would have had memories of it being on kind of at that time, if you watched Bottom or if you watched The Day to Day.
Yeah.
So I think I would have definitely been watching Bottom, and then I obviously just continued watching for The High Life. And I just absolutely loved it. I just thought it was brilliant. And in terms of you saying catchphrases, I remember a couple of my friends at school also watched it. And we would, the next day, you know, be and say like, oh, dearie me, and stuff like that. I think Watching it back now, and I haven't watched it in probably about 10 years, I was amazed at how much I remembered. I could actually recite lines as they were coming on.
Right.
I could say things that were coming up. I knew what was happening next. The reason for that is I recorded every episode when it aired, and I recorded every episode at bottom as well. So I had them like on 2 separate VHS tapes. And I think the series, maybe like into episode 5 or so, I was off school sick for like 3 days with like some sort of bug. And on those 3 days, I watched that 5 episodes of Bottom and those 5 episodes of The High Life back to back to back to back in a loop, so that it was just ingrained in my head because I loved it so much. So it was a real treat for me to come back and watch it again.
So you would have been, about 14 when it came out? 13 or 14?
Yeah, I would have been 13 when it first aired. Yeah.
And I would have been, I think I was in, you said it was January 95 that it came out. So I was 16. I was doing the first year of my hires. I think probably the reason that it didn't go, and I don't even really remember anybody talking about it, was because it's camp. It's incredibly camp. And, there's a fair bit of, when I was in high school in the northeast of Scotland in a farming community, so there was a fair bit of prejudice towards homosexuality, or even implied homosexuality, or even the slightest suggestion that somebody might be a homosexual. Do you know what I mean? So it's just, I think even if you watched it and you liked it, you'd probably keep it to yourself in that community.
Okay, I see. I mean, it's never, yes, it is extremely camp, but Steve's always chasing after women.
Yeah.
It's never mentioned about Sebastian. You never see him have a preference for male or female, so you don't know.
Absolutely, you're right. And even the only sort of kind of gay kind of double entendre is when Steve's is in the episode where where Sebastian has to wear the mascot costume, and Steve's trying to help him take it off, get the helmet of it off, and there's the kind of double entendre implication there, where Shona and the pilot and all that think that they're boyfriends, not in company time.
Yes, not on company time. Yes, when he's wearing the Shuggy McGurk costume.
That's it, Shuggy McGurk. Yeah.
And I think the show, as you say, it's extremely camp, but it doesn't, instantly from the song and dance routine and the theme tune at the start. It is just, that sums up what the show is all about.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. It's a great song, great lyrics, and the little dance number, which probably cost more than the series itself to put together in terms of the choreography there. And Alan Cumming giving a nice little Hitler salute at the end.
By accident, yeah.
Yeah, by accident. It just sets up straight away what the show's about. Now, I need to ask, because we did watch all the episodes, but the pilot obviously aired.
Yeah.
But of course, it wasn't part of the 6-part series. It was actually remade in the show as, I think, episode 4. But the pilot is a bit of a different, although it retains a lot of the same, there's no piped in laughter. And I think Sebastian's, the characters are slightly toned down a bit.
Yeah.
They've heightened it for the series. I'll be honest, I think the pilot works better for me. I found it a bit more, I don't know if it's because without the laughter or if it was because it's just slightly toned down, but I found it a bit more I wish this had been the series. But I still love the actual series, of course.
It's a wee bit more, the pilot, I think, because it doesn't have the kind of piped in laughter, it's a bit more almost sophisticated. Do you know what I mean? And I think, we're used to comedies now. If I think about kind of modern successful comedies, they tend not to have a laugh track on them. My daughter watches Modern Family all the time at the minute. It just always seems to be on. Up until a few weeks ago, my daughters lived in their bedrooms. I bought a new sofa. It's got a couple of reclining seats in it, and they're in the living room all the fucking time. And the TV's just monopolised. But they've been watching a lot of Modern Family, and Modern Family has no laugh track on it. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia has no laugh track, and it's one of the funniest TV shows maybe ever. You know what I mean?
No, certainly now. I think there's not a trend as such for laughter. It can be quite off-putting. But then similarly, it's true in a way, because I don't know if you've seen the clip online. I think someone put it up. It was like an episode of The Big Bang Theory, but they removed the laugh track. And it's not as funny.
Right.
In terms of it does take you out of it a bit, and then you're watching it and going, this is a bit shit, really. So yeah, I think some shows do need that laugh track in it. Mm-hmm. The pilot is obviously a bit different, and of course, I mean, we need to address this now. Are we including the pilot in this review?
I included the pilot is because like when you put them all in a thing for me, I just thought we'd do all of them. I was quite surprised because I'd never seen it before. So when I started watching the sort of, you know, the fourth episode, whatever, which is essentially the pilot remade. Like for a second, I thought I'd maybe clicked on the pilot again or something, or there was some mistake or something like that, and then I realised, oh, you know, it's different actors playing like the film crew, and I think different actors play the Lord and Lady on the plane as well, and you know.
I think they're the only two actors that are the same.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the Lord and Lady are the same.
I thought, all right.
But I think everyone else is different.
I thought the girl, Avril, I thought she was the same actress, but just with more makeup on, like kind of more heavily made up in the other one, in the one that aired, you know?
Different actress that played Avril. And again, she's even more understated because she comes on, obviously, still dressed in tartan. But in the actual episode 4 of the series, she is fully with tartan and she's got her bagpipes with her. Yeah. She's, you know, they do go quite over the top in terms of the Scottishness. And that's the thing. It's great because it does go over the top in terms of the Scottishness that is dripping in this show. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously they work for Air Scotia. The uniforms are quite subtle, you know, tartan tie and the lapels, but it's when they're doing the cleaning duties and they have the tartan tabards on that I just find hilarious. It's very much the over the topness of it.
Yeah, and it does seem to, like, if you watch the episodes in order after the pilot, I know we'll go into detail in the last episode later on, but it sort of becomes a wee bit, you know, like I think about the episode where the Scotland's Eurovision Song Contest entry, you know what I mean? And I thought, you know, it sort of peaked in terms of kind of silliness and surrealism until I saw the last episode.
I think that's the case because you have the first 5 episodes that are, you know, kind of very a similar vein in terms of the silliness. Although, mind you, episode 2 takes you out of the flight because they're
training
in the castle at the training weekend. But the rest are all kind of follow a similar-ish theme. But yeah, episode 6, which we'll come to later, it does completely take you out of it.
Yeah.
But that's the whole series has ridiculously surreal moments. I mean, you know, you have the little bits of Sebastian, for example, doing the bolero down the aisle with Steve. But it does set out its stall quite quickly in the first episode where you meet Captain Duff.
Yeah.
And he is obviously just been at a Star Trek convention. And it's hilarious when they do the fag packet as the communicator. But then when he says, beam me up, he actually gets beamed up. And straight away you're like, what am I watching here? So they set out their stall pretty quickly in terms of that.
It sort of made, I remember years and years ago there was this Australian medical comedy called Let the Blood Run Free, and it was like ridiculously surreal, like to the point of being unwatchable. I mean, well, for me at the time, I think I was maybe like 12 or 13, and I saw an advert for it, and I thought, oh, I really want to watch that. And then I watched it, and I was like, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? And for some reason, it made watching the High Life kind of made me think of that. You know, it almost, and that, and remember the Green Wing?
Yes,
yeah. I mean, the Green Wing, it was just like all bizarre, surrealist moments, like much more so. But yeah, that was. I mean, and there's not really any other bits in any of the other episodes as kind of out there as that little moment when Captain Duff gets beamed up. You know, even when he's flying the plane dressed up as a clown and all that, when they've got the kids on and stuff. Kids private charter.
So, I mean, to speak about the cast as well, of course, it was written and created by Cumming and Masson, so they obviously have the 2 starring roles, and they are a very good double act as a pairing. And obviously, Alan Cumming went on to have quite a bit of success in terms of his career, and I completely forgot until I was watching it again. You know, I'm so used to, you know, it's Alan Cumming, of course. I'd forgotten that he was in GoldenEye. And that really dated it for me because I'm thinking, wow, that was so long ago.
Yeah.
The High Life doesn't seem that old, but GoldenEye seems like forever ago. So it was quite interesting. But yeah, I mean, he had a great career. I mean, X-Men 2, of course, and he went on to have a lot of success. And I think he was in like The Good Wife.
The Good Wife.
Or
well, but
it was in like 121 episodes.
Yeah, I've actually got a very, very, very tenuous connection to Alan Cumming, because when I just before I moved out here to the Middle East, I took a job contracting for a company in Glasgow that set up little cafes in like offices, and one of the baristas, the woman that I was sort of replacing, was showing me around, and she said, the guy there, Gary, has got a really famous uncle. Can you guess who it is? And I was like, I haven't got a clue. And she was like, do you watch The Good Wife? And I was like, no. And she said, do you know who Alan Cumming is? And I was like, I know Alan Cumming. She said, well, that's his nephew. And it is. And he's actually a nice guy, Gary, but he showed me, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but he went, when I was still working there, Alan Cumming turned 50, and he hired out Tornado Bay, the water park in maybe it's in Disney in Florida. I think it's in Disney. After hours for his party. So Gary was showing me all the pictures because he was obviously invited, and just like Alan Cumming and his family and friends having a big tear up at Tornado Bay. The pictures are on Facebook, so I'll do a bit of Facebook stalking and send them over to you later on.
Any link's a good link, yeah. And of course, Forbes Masson as well as his partner is Steve McCracken, and he's had a very successful career as well. Didn't go down the Hollywood route like Mr. Cumming, but he's been very successful in the UK and a lot of the things that he's done. He does a lot of theatre work, and of course the three roles I would probably think, if you mention his name to me, are as Steve McCracken in The High Life, as Art Stilton in The Young Person's Guide to Becoming a Rock Star, which we reviewed, I think, episode 4 of The Swally, available wherever you get your podcasts, and as the pedo tutor in, or I shouldn't say the grooming tutor. That's a good name for a band, actually. The grooming tutor in EastEnders. Yeah, so he's had a great success, and of course Siobhan Redmond. She pops up in a lot of stuff that I've seen over the years in terms of a good Scottish actress.
Yeah,
she's great, and I'd say she's probably more known for her serious roles, but she's brilliant. She's got very good comic timing as well.
Yeah, she's really good. My mum and I used to watch her in Between the Lines, the kind of police procedural TV show. Yeah, she's really good. But just go back to Forbes Masson for a second. I didn't realise what an accomplished musician he is, because I had never heard of Victor and Barry, their characters, and until I started doing the research for the podcast, and I watched a couple of their performances, and he's a really accomplished piano player, and those songs that they do, those sort of kind of No Coward-esque type songs, they're really, really good, and they're so well timed and everything, really subtle, they're really funny. There was one that I watched where Tony Wilson introduced them, Tony Wilson of Factory Records and kind of Manchester music scene fame, they did a kind of fake Glasgow promotional song. Because I'll put the link in maybe I can put the link in the description to the podcast when we release it, but it's really funny. I mean, it's quite old. I think they did it like 1987, 1988. And it's a song sort of supposedly selling Glasgow to the world, and obviously they make fun of like people taking heart attacks and people being smashed and all that kind of thing, but they film it, they're kind of wandering around the West End, they're on the flyover over the M8, all these different locations around Glasgow. It was really, really good, but I thought they were really, really funny. But yeah, I didn't realise, as I say, I didn't realise what an accomplished musician he was, and he's done, I think he's like composed a couple of musical shows as well. I think there's one called Mince that he did, and I saw it in his IMDb, where I think he's composed the music and written the book and all that for it. So, but yeah, I think he's really good in this, because like with Alan Cumming, like I knew Alan Cumming could do all this sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew he could do the comedy, and I've seen him do funny things before, and I've seen him do serious things, and I know he does a lot of musical theatre and stuff as well. But with Forbes Masson, I'd only really seen him in like maybe a handful of things, one of which is that EastEnders storyline, where I think it was when he was grooming Sonia or something like that. Was it Sonia he was grooming?
I think so, yeah. I think it was.
And obviously The Young Person's Guide. So Yeah, I didn't realise just what an all-rounder he was.
No, he's fantastic. And as you say, I think that a lot of the music bleeds into the series as well, because of course you have the theme tune. But since I've watched this last week, all week, I have either been singing Piff Paff Puff, my heart goes piff paff puff, I want to have it off till I cough, or I've been singing Scotia, Air Scotia is the airline that's for me. The song's just stuck in my head, and it's great. And they do use a lot of the music in the same way they use a lot of like rhyming and alliteration as well throughout the show. So I have a hunch the henchman is half-hearted in his horribleness, or it's the frequent farcical fraternising with female
flight attendants,
passengers of flights. The one that I always remember, and I used to always say, and it was so funny seeing it again, is the...
Well, I was in Mario's in Motherwell having a macaroni when who should walk in but Lena Zavaroni?
It just makes me laugh. So I think they do use a lot of that in the show, and I think they do use it to good effect.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like I said in the intro, it is quite childish humour, but it's so funny. Watching it, it's the stuff you can laugh at. It's nothing offensive.
No.
There's nothing offensive about it. It's just good kind of childish humour.
Well, there was a line in it that made me think, that would upset a couple people. And I'm trying to think what it was. It was something about, they were describing something as black and hairy. And I think Alan Cumming says, "Oh, that's how Shona likes her men," or something like that. And I was like, I can see people getting upset about that in 2021 if that came out now.
Alan Cumming's cancelled.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you one thing I was quite surprised to see when I was just getting a bit more background on Alan Cumming is that he is described in Google as a Scottish American actor because he's taken the citizenship exam in the US to be a naturalised citizen. So, yeah, I think he's married to an American guy, maybe something like that.
Okay. There are a lot of jokes and things that carry on throughout the series. So, of course, you do have a couple of catchphrases as the, oh, dearie me. And the one that appears in probably the most episodes is when Steve and Sebastian are welcoming people onto the flight. And it's the same every time, if you've noticed. Morning, fat bum.
Yeah.
Morning,
Sweaty.
Morning, fat bum. Morning, sweaty. Morning. Oh, well, didn't bother then.
And it's a good insight as to, I guarantee probably staff do that on flights in terms of talking about passengers. Of course they do.
No doubt. I mean, I don't know about you, but I hate flying. Not because I'm scared of flying, not for the reasons that most people don't like to fly. I'm not worried about the plane crashing, but the whole it's just like a drudge, like flying anywhere. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that people behave at the airport and on flights differently to how they would normally behave. For sure. For the one thing, you can have a few pints at like 7 o'clock in the morning before you get on the plane. Normally you wouldn't do that, right? And just you hear the way people behave on the plane and want to be waited on and everything. I know a few people that have been flight attendants and they've done it as a career, and they tend to do it. It tends to be like a forever career.
And do they do the hokey cokey on the flight as well, as we see in the first episode? Captain Duff leading everyone in doing the hokey cokey.
That's the thing, they always seem to be flying to Heathrow because the joke of the captain asking where they're going again, and it's usually Steve that says Heathrow. It always seems to be the London flight.
It is, yeah. They're stuck on the Prestwick to London Heathrow flight. That's why they have aspirations to get onto the international flights, but they are stuck doing the domestic shuttle run to Heathrow every day. Which does make it funny, as you say. It's another running joke of, Heathrow captain. Did you like the use of, in the first episode, I really like the flashback scene of Shona with her dad, and the fact that it is Siobhan that plays the young Shona, just with pigtails, and the use of Shang-a-Lang.
I did. Until the day that I depart this planet, every time I hear Shang-a-Lang, I'll think about you.
I'm exactly the same. I think about you. Maybe we'll go into detail on that one day. Hey, if we decide to do the Bay City Rollers TV series one day, then we'll tell you why Shang-a-Lang is such a fond memory for us and is so important to us.
It's the first thing that came to mind. But I did like that. And again, we didn't really give Siobhan Redmond enough kind of praise when we were talking about the cast. Because I saw when when Alan Cumming was being interviewed on Pebble Mill, that little interview that you cut for me by none other than Radio Clyde's Ross King.
Yeah.
Like Ross King was quite surprised to see Siobhan Redmond doing doing comedy. Usually we associate her with more serious roles, and Alan Cumming was like, some loads of comedy. Like I said, the first thing I ever saw her in was a comedy. She did one called Al Fresco with Stephen Fry and Hugh Laurie and a few other I can't remember exactly now, but a few other quite famous British comedy actors, but her timing is just hilarious, and she's obviously having a good time, because like whenever they go out, I think there's the scene that's in the pilot and in the sort of reshot pilot when the plane's taken off and they're singing Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, and she's she's a bit of an unusual character, because she's she's supposed to be this kind of matriarchal kind of hard ass purser on the plane, but yet she gets involved in the silliness with the two guys as much as she attempts to police it. She's really good.
Yeah, she is the hard ass of as I say, Hitler in tights, and was it Mussolini in micro mesh. Like, she does get quite a rough ride, but it's a shame because Steve's obviously, Steve's in love with any female going. I mean, I think every episode he has something. His chat up line in the first episode in particular is just brilliant when he's told to keep the police officer busy, and he says, "I can't wait for it to be winter so I can use your legs as a scarf." But he's always built up with that. I mean, he does have success in the second episode with Heather at the training session.
Yeah, I think that's my favourite episode, that one.
Yeah,
and I like the actress that plays Heather, Sally Howlett. I mean, she's probably best known for being in playing Scarlett in River City for years and years. But she's like the scene where he's supposed to be rescuing her from the pool, and she ends up rescuing him, and there's all those underwater scenes when they're playing Marina of Stingray. She's like towing him about by his ear underwater and stuff. It's just the expression on Forbes Masson's face as he's being like pulled through the water.
No, I think you're right. I'd say that is probably my favourite episode, and I mean, spoiler, but I think probably my favourite scene is the first scene where they're in the hall and you have the retrain commander, and they're having to do the is it back exits, side exits, front exits, and then they have the lights on the floor, and then of course they sing the Air Scotia theme for their beloved chairman Sir Cameron Bridie. And that's the thing. I think most of the names that you have in here are over the top kind of Scottish that you have, and whenever they have a chance to do something like that, it's they don't miss a beat. I actually used to work with a girl called Bridie. She was Welsh, and she obviously knew and had it many times, because she made a point of coming to me, and when she knew I was Scottish, she said, "Yes, I do know my name is a meat and onion pastry in Scotland." So she must have had it quite a few times in terms of that. But yeah, they really don't miss in terms of the Scottish names and things that you have. Oh, and of course, that's another surreal bit, I suppose, that you have in that episode when they're doing the Air Scotia theme, and Sebastian and Steve kind of sing it first, and then she says, "Everyone join in," and then it turns into like a communist Russia type theme song, all kind of pumping their arm. So yeah, another nice bit of surreal humour in there.
I mean, should we talk about the last episode?
Yeah, I think we have to. Obviously, it's a bit of a departure in a way, heavily inspired by the 60s Batman show. I mean, even down to the little idents in between scenes.
And they kind of
play the music and have the plane.
The kind of squint camera angle as well when the fight at the end and all that.
Well, the fight at the end is fantastic. That's brilliant. So okay, yeah, it's very much this is a ridiculous episode. It's probably my least favourite.
Yeah, me too.
I still enjoy it, but it's still it just takes it out of the actual essence of the show. But I see what they were trying to do. So it's about the Stoat trying to get the magical recipe for a tablet from the woman from Rent-A-Ghost.
Yeah, Molly Weir. Yeah.
So, yeah, they're trying to retrieve their floppy. So what did you think of the episode? I take it you didn't like it that much.
I didn't dislike it. I just, it was just like so different from any of the other 5 episodes, and plus the pilot. It took me by surprise a wee bit. I mean, when I was watching it, I was thinking, right, maybe they found out when they were still recording the series that this episode was going to be their last episode. So they were like, fuck it, let's just be as silly and as over the top and as we can, because it doesn't matter, because we're not coming back for another series. Or they just maybe thought, well, there's only so many. It made me think, well, when I saw that season 2 had been written but they just never got to film it, I kind of thought, well, maybe the season 2 would have had other, like, more episodes that weren't on the plane. Because I suppose there's only so many scenarios you can come up with that could, that could happen and that are funny, that would happen on an aeroplane, like mad passengers, attempted hijackings, like short of a plane crash, it's kind of, what else can you come up with,
Yeah, you're right. I think, as you say, in the first series, they do cover the hijacking, celebrities on board, the plane being chartered for a private booking. Yeah, everything's covered, really.
Yeah. Did you recognise the actor who plays Vincent Stote? He's got a small but pivotal part in a film that I know is a favourite of yours as it is mine.
I didn't actually. Or did I? I did recognise him, but no.
He plays the senior policeman in ID when they go, when the Reese, what's his name, Thingman and that have to go and sit in front of him, and then later on he's the one that tells them that they're no longer undercover anymore and all that kind of thing.
Wow. Okay. No, I didn't catch that at all, actually. Oh, I'll have to look out for that then. Well spotted. Well spotted. Of course, I did spot in the pilot and in episode 4, did you spot who the sports and disasters correspondent was?
I was trying to place him, and I couldn't. I totally recognised the guy, and I was just, who the fuck is that?
Gavin Temperley from Trainspotting.
So it is.
It's one of those faces that you're just like, I know him. I've seen him in so many things. Where is he?
Yeah.
Sorry. So to go back to episode 6, as it's called, Dunk, the Batman-style choreographed fight with the words coming up on the screen, just like the 6 Days Batman. Did you catch the words that were there?
Pish was one I particularly enjoyed.
Pish, nip, dunk, gubbed, dunt, wee, and my personal favourite, fud. I think that's the first one that comes up, is someone gets punched, it just comes up, fud. And then, Captain Duff comes in and saves them all. Turns out he's quite a trained martial artist.
Ex-SAS. I mean, I gotta be honest, I think I loved every moment of Captain Duff. He just absolutely creased me every time. And every time he came on, I knew that he was going to just do some daft, surreal kind of humour. But the one that made me laugh the most was when Gav Temperley is doing his sign-off from the runway, and he's just stood behind him, staring at the camera. And I did a wee bit of it. I looked into the kind of filmography of Patrick Reichart, who plays him, and he's quite a serious actor, kind of Royal Shakespeare Company. Most recently, he's been playing the Earl of Norfolk in The Crown, Netflix's royal family saga. So, again, it's a bit like Siobhan Redmond. So, someone who predominantly you get used to seeing in serious roles, and it's not like it's like a satirical kind of look at life for cabin crew. It's like a balls out, over the top comedy, and they're both completely invested in it.
As you say, I think any time he's on screen, something, and it's always the absurd. I think is it the episode it starts when they have a bumpy landing, and he comes out of the cockpit, everyone's dishevelled, and they say, "What happened?" And he says, "Oh well, she was Sri Lankan. The communication broke down."
What exactly went wrong, son? Oh, well, Stephen, we gradually grew apart. She was from Sri Lanka, and she finally went off with the church organist.
No, not your marriage, sir. I mean the bumpy landing.
Oh, that. Oh, well, just the usual. Tying up shoelaces, dodgy moment, runaway. Toodle pip.
And you never see his co-pilot, I don't think, do you?
That was the interesting thing. In the pilot, you do. There is someone sat next to him, but in the series, no, it's just him sat in the pilot's chair with the kind of controls behind him, and invariably, every episode there is something different in terms of the Star Trek sitting there with his Spock ears, or it's saving them from SAS, or dressed as a clown. I do particularly like the episode 2, which I think it is our favourite, is when he just suddenly appears when they're doing Strip the Willow, and it's the interaction between the two when he's Hillary, Gretchen, and he kind of saves the day as well, because he rekindles his relationship with Gretchen, and then the exam gets cancelled.
Yeah, but Shona still gets her £1,000 for because she was expected to get top marks anyway.
And of course, we haven't really hugely spoken about, I touched upon it earlier. Now, this aired the year before Father Ted's Song for Europe episode with My Lovely Horse, but you can see it's quite similar with Sebastian's entry for Song for Europe with Piff Paff Poff.
Now, there's something in that I thought was quite clever, and it's when Sebastian's talking about former British winning songs and how they're all a bit sort of nonsensical, like Lulu's Boom Banger, was it Boom Bamalang or something like that, the one that Lulu did, I think she won. Cliff Richard with his Congratulations celebration song, and even I think ABBA's the one that ABBA won. This was what was their song was like a kind of was like Super Trooper or some kind of made up catchy word or something. I'm not sure. I'm not even going to look it up because my disdain for ABBA knows no bounds. But I thought that was quite clever, because he's like, I've got a title and it needs to be just like something catchy, something that foreigners will understand as well, like Piff Paff Poff. That was like really, really clever. But then when they do the performance, I mean, that has to be like one of the, I mean, it just like screamed sort of 1990s kind of pop performances to me, like, especially when they kind of rip off their tartan trousers and they've got the blue sort of cycling shorts underneath. And if you see like early kind of Take That performances or Boyzone or whatever, it's exactly like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does have very much kind of a early 90s, that kind of vibe, almost with a Euro pop kind of twist.
Yeah.
And it's a cracking song, you have to say.
Yeah.
And I think that's again, they're trying to show that it's a very different version of Scotland in the High Life, because of course you have Scotland having its entry into the Eurovision Song Contest. And in the previous episode, in the news report at the end, they say that Falkirk failed in their bid to host the 1996 Olympics. And Steve utters the immortal line that I might have to clip for the news.
Nothing good ever happens to folk from Falkirk.
And of course, Forbes Masson is from Falkirk.
Exactly.
That's where he was born. So,
absolutely.
So he's allowed to say that. So they're just living in this surreal world where Falkirk can bid to host the Olympics and Scotland are in the Eurovision Song Contest.
If I think about Scottish comedy that became successful, that came before the High Life, like the only two that really, or three rather, that really stick in mind are obviously Naked Video and subsequently Rabsy Nesbitt and Absolutely. So you got two sketch shows and one sitcom in Rabsy Nesbitt. I'm kind of struggling to think of another like successful Scottish sitcom that came before the High Life.
So you wouldn't say City Lights was successful?
Oh, of course, City Lights, yeah. Well, but even then, okay, but then what else though? That's not a lot, really, if you think about it, right? City Life, Rabsy Nesbitt.
No, there's probably not a lot in terms of Scottish sitcoms from that era. I mean, yeah, I think a lot of them probably came afterwards. And I think, in a way, if you notice, the episode titles are all quite Scottish. Mm-hmm. And you would think that they're very much like Still Game episode titles. So they kind of are, all, not ripped off, but, they're Feart, Burrell, Winch, Doug, Tube, Dunk. They're all, that's exactly what Still Game did in terms of their episode titles. So I don't know if it's just, if there was any influence there or what. But yeah, you're probably right. I don't think there was anything that big. And for this to be shown at 9:30 on a Friday night on BBC Two, that's pretty big going, because that's, it follows Bottom, which, as I say, was in its third series, hugely successful show, got a good few million viewers. So it's a tremendous to be following that. So it showed that they obviously had quite a lot of faith in the series.
So I wonder then why, I mean, do you think it is just a case of Alan Cumming just was too busy to go and commit to doing another series? Do you think that's the only reason?
Yeah, I think from what I've read, that is exactly what happened, because they obviously took the time to write it.
Yeah.
But in terms of being able to film it, you would think filming something like this is probably a 6-week stint in order to film everything, and he probably just couldn't commit that length of time because he had his film career taking off. It's a terrible shame. I would love to have seen it, and it'd be interesting, even if the scripts were available, I'd love to find out what they had planned for Series 2.
I think maybe what they could have done for the second series, I guess, if they wanted to keep the kind of being on a plane part of it, they could have maybe put the cast on international flights. You know what I mean? So that you could have maybe had that sort of Scotsman abroad type humour, maybe. That'd be interesting.
Possibly. And that could have worked with Alan Cumming, if he was doing a film in America, they could have filmed. He could have done a Michael J. Fox. He could have done his film during the day and then filmed a High Life at night. Do a double shift. Come on, Alan. Sort yourself out. I know you're busy being in X-Men 2 and in episodes of Sex and the City and stuff, but come on, just do the High Life.
The thing is, if you look at Alan Cumming's international stuff, I mean, obviously X-Men 2, which I think was 2002 that came out, and GoldenEye, which was out about the same time as the High Life was, but it's mostly sort of TV stuff. He's got small parts in some movies, and he's got a part in Eyes Wide Shut where he plays a hotel receptionist who flirts with Tom Cruise. I've never seen Eyes Wide Shut. It just didn't appeal to me at all, so I'll have to just take their word for that. But yeah, looking at it, so he's done a lot of voiceover stuff. Like he's got Garfield, he's got Dora the Explorer. He popped up in Frasier in 2003. Spy Kids 2, he's in the remake of Get Carter with Sylvester Stallone. Got a part in that. I never seen that either. He's in Plunkett and McLean, but that's a British film. Yeah, and he's in Spice World, the Spice Girls movie. Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. He's in that. That was quite a successful movie. I've not seen that one either. So I think what we've worked out is that Alan Cumming is in a lot of things that I've not seen in America.
Well, there you go. They could have easily done this. I think that's kind of it. I forgot to give a shout out to as well. The episode Doug, which has Guy Wersh from the Gantin Skreeks.
Yep.
As the band, and the album Badger Matager, which is a great title for an album.
I thought at first, when that character first came on, and for probably the first half of the episode, I thought that was Craig Ferguson playing, but it's not. It's another guy.
It does look a bit like him. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. It does look a bit like him.
So yeah, I think that kind of covers the High Life. Have you got anything else to? No. Should we run it through the awards?
Yeah, let's run it through the awards. So the archetypal Scottish moment. I had 2 for this. What did you have?
I've got 2. I mean, you could pick almost anything. But the 2 I've gone for, you can't have a Cayley scene and not include it. It's very Scottish. But I think I had to give it to Steve feeding the tartan terrorist haggis whilst reciting Burns. That kind of was it for me. What about yourself? What did you go for?
I sort of had that. I had the mad nationalist hijacker. She wants them to land the plane in Dunoon for some reason. And also the kind of MacGuffin in the last episodes, obviously the recipe that Stoat, the confectionist, is trying to get his hands on is for tablet, which is incredibly Scottish and made me crave a wee bit of tablet. I mean, I love tablet, but tablet's one of those things that you can only really have kind of one square every little while. Yeah. If you have 2 squares, you'd end up feeling sick for a good half an hour, But I do love a bit of tablet. So who did you give the Sean Connery award to?
Alan Cumming. It has to be, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's the best. It's his show.
Yeah.
I think, really, I know it's the pair of them, and you do need both of them there to bounce off each other, but I think it's Alan Cumming that steals it. And you could say he has obviously gone on to probably have the slightly more mainstream career, but yeah, I'd give it to Alan Cumming. What about yourself?
I agree. I would give it to Alan Cumming, but I think I would have to give sort of mentions to Siobhan Redmond and Patrick Reichart just for commitment and being so good in the role. So I think I know who your answer to this one's going to be, but who did you give the James Cosmo Award to?
If we're incling the pilot,
I included the pilot.
We are.
Yeah.
Then of course it's Alex Norton.
Yeah, that's what I had. Although I feel that like a special mention needs to be given to Gav Temperley now that you've brought that to my attention, because he fairly gets around for the Begbie Swearing Award. I mean, there's not really any like particularly bad language, but I gave it to Alan Cumming just for sort of general swearing, like the way he says shite, stuff like that. And I think he's definitely the sweariest character in the ensemble, you know. Who'd you have for that?
It was Steve when he's offering Sebastian a coffee.
Oh yeah.
They managed to slip that in. That's there are quite a few. There's, as you say, there's a lot of shite and stuff. And I do like of course, I forgot. I mean, it's not swearing. I guess it'd be blasphemous. Is when Sebastian's praying that the food will be in the cupboard that he's forgotten to order. And when he's praying to God, and he does say, "I know I haven't always been complimentary about your son." And when he opens it, he does bastard, which was great. But yeah, I have to give it to the.
You fuck off, eh? I said you for coffee.
It's so cool because I did a double take, and they do that joke in both the pilot and the recorded episode that is the part of the series, which is essentially re-recorded episode, and it caught me both times because it does sound like he's saying "you fuck off, eh?" like someone from the east of Scotland might say. Yeah, it was good.
It's just like Mike Oxmells.
Yeah, like you had never noticed before. For the Taggart tally, so I only did the main cast, and so only Alan Cumming and Siobhan Redmond have credits in Taggart. Siobhan actually became a regular character in the kind of later series when Alex Norton was the lead in the show. So she did 7 episodes. And Alan Cumming famously is in one of the very first Taggart series as a murder suspect. And he's got 3 episodes. Surprisingly, Forbes Masson has never done he's never done a Taggart before.
Oh, that really does surprise me.
I thought he might have popped up.
It really does.
I mean, there's a lot of other things he's done, but along those lines. But he's not. So yeah, quite a low Taggart tally. But as I say, I did the main cast. I didn't do any of the guests. Not if I think the only sort of guest that's got a Taggart credit is Alex Norton anyway. I don't think any other ones did, to be honest. And then last one then, so I did do favourite scene, I did favourite episode, which we have sort of we kind of mentioned already, was the training episode, Burl, with Sally Howitt.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's just got so many funny moments. And it's a nice little story. It's similar to you taking them out of the flight, and that's why I love this show, because they're on the plane. It is like in an enclosed area that they're in. There's no escape. And it takes them out of that, but puts them in a different setting where, again, there's no escape. And I just think it works really well. And that episode's just got so many funny moments in it that it's the one for me.
Cool. No, like I say, it was good. I'll be the first person to admit, as I did earlier, that I think I did consciously avoid this when it first came on, but I really enjoyed it. I thought, when it started, and in those sort of more surreal, silly moments, I did think to myself, this is going to be hard to talk about this. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it, but it is quite. It does sort of enchant you. I can see why you enjoyed it so much when you were a young teenager, and I suspect if I had given it an opportunity, like a proper opportunity when it first came out, I'd probably have enjoyed it as well. Although, like I say, I could probably have never admitted to it.
Oh, well, wonderful. I'm glad I could introduce you properly to The High Life. As I say, it's something that I hold very fond memories of and I cherish. And watching it back again, I was still really enjoying it. And I was watching it on my laptop with headphones on at the dining table, and I was giggling away to myself. I think it was episode 2, actually. And my wife was like, "What are you watching?" I was like, just can't help it. It's just making me laugh. So yeah, I'm very glad that I could introduce you to The High Life, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, great. Well, I think that covers The High Life. So it was my choice this week, Greg. So it's your choice next week. What are we going to be looking at on this Swally next time?
Well, I thought we'd do a kind of genre that we've not done before. There's obviously elements of it in The High Life. I think I'm going to have the High Life theme tune stuck in my head for the next few weeks. But it's a movie I've never seen before. So I thought next week we could do Sunshine on Leith, the Proclaimers musical movie.
I don't think I've seen that either. I think I started watching the first couple of minutes and then got distracted or something. But I've never seen the whole film.
Okay.
So, wow.
Cool.
Well, first memories is going to be a bit difficult next time, but at least, what's your first memories? Well, 2 days ago when I watched it, it was...
Well, we can talk about our Proclaimers memories. I'm sure we've got some good memories tied up with the Proclaimers over our lives.
Yeah, we certainly do, I think. And great, so I'm going to have Proclaimers songs stuck in my head the whole time now. Fantastic. Never mind, I'll enjoy that. Great. Oh yeah, brilliant. Look forward to doing that. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. If you want to get in touch with us, you can. If there's anything you'd like us to review, or if there's anything that you've seen in the news you'd like us to cover, then you can email us on cultureswally@gmail.com and give us a follow on Instagram @cultureswallypod, and you can follow us on Twitter as well @swallypod. And if you enjoy the podcast, please like us, rate us on iTunes, review, subscribe, tell your friends, and that would be lovely. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Right. Well, I guess that's it, Greg.
I guess it is. I look forward to watching Sunshine on Leith over the next few days and chatting about it to you next time. Thanks for listening.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks very much. See you later.
See you later.
If that boss my heart could skip